Hello, this is Andrew. In this screencast, I want to very briefly give you an overview of the kind of things you'll find in the productivity enhancements for SharePoint developers that I've created for use within CodeRush and Refactor in Visual Studio. What I've done is I've downloaded a project, a sample project that I've got on the article to use for any kind of like demo purposes, so you don't have to muck up one of your projects or create a new one. It's just got a couple things in here that we'll be using. The other thing, I'm going to go ahead and open up Feature.xml. The other thing that you can watch here is that this keys window at the bottom is going to show you the keys I'm pressing on the keyboard. Since you can't exactly see them, it's going to be a little bit easier to see the templates that are being implemented. So right away, if I want to create a new feature, go ahead and pick SharePoint, and then I want to do a new ID. Now right here is where I would normally go through and say Tools, Tools Create New GUID within Visual Studio. That's tedious though. Let's go and clear this out. Instead, we have a template now called New GUID. I type in New GUID and hit space, and then right away I run the New GUID template. Control Z will clear off as one single action. We'll pull the whole thing off, and I can put a brand new GUID in there if I want. What about creating a full-fledged feature? That's just going to be feature XML space, and it stubs out an entire feature. Put in a title, description, the scope. You can see here that there's even a little bit of help here telling you what your different options are. Actually, we need to put something in there. Say if it's hidden, if it's true or false, if it's hidden, and then also put an elements manifest. Note that it already created this GUID for us. If we actually had a project in here, or a type inside of our solution that creates a feature receiver. You can see here, inheriting from Microsoft.SharePoint, here's a class, implementing SP feature receiver. I could go, it's going to find, let's go through and build the project real quick. Go back to feature XML, and I can now say feature receiver XML. It'll do the same thing we just saw a second ago, but in addition, it will go ahead and pull out the strong name of the assembly of the project we're currently working in. Now you notice that I built it. It's because I built it so it would get the public key token. If I hadn't built it, this would just be empty and have like some replacement string that I could put something in. It also went through and found the first type in the project that implements a feature, the SP feature receiver class in the Microsoft.SharePoint namespace. Okay, so that's saving you a little bit of time right there. Got a bunch of them for element manifest as well. EXML is going to give us an element manifest. I can create things like, say, a new element site column. We have these nice little linked identifiers that as I start typing in the name field here, you can see the static name is also green. It's linked, so I can say, let's say press release body, and it'll jump down and I can say press release body, enter. The group name is just Moss. It's a type of HTML required, except all the other ones. I can hit escape to collect the marker to put in another one very easily. What if I want to create a new content type? Element content type. And it's going to give me a content type, a place where I can put a content type ID. Now just to save time, I'm going to skip that part, come down here to the field refs, and let's say I need to add new field references to this. Well, I can say element content type field reference, and it'll stub out an entire new field ref for me. The cool thing though is that notice that the ID here is just a string that's telling me I need to go through and put a GUID in here. Some of these templates are smart enough to know that if I have an ID on the clipboard, that when I say that use the same template, it'll automatically put that same template or that same GUID right there for the ID. It'll do this for field references. It'll do it for when I create a new content type. If I had a content type ID on the string, on the clipboard, it would have pasted it right here at the beginning so I can go through and derive from it. All right. So let's see. Also have a bunch of these guys for solution XML files. So manifest. Notice it already generated the GUID for me. If I need to create add an assembly to this, it'll automatically find my assemblies, the assembly for my project. Smart enough too to add in a solution assembly safe control to go through and put it in safe controls for me. All right, it's got all the other ones too, feature manifests. I can go through and have a couple of them that will be for, like, say, a solution web part. So it does DWP files, or oops, let's come back, or I can say solution DWP if you're old school. All right. Also, I have the way to, the ability to go in. Let's assume that this was a .webpart file. I can come in and just say webpart XML, and it would stub out everything I need to create a new webpart definition, including the first type found within the project that implements the system.web.ui.webcontrols.webparts.webpart class, and then also the for-part name. And it pulled out the name of the web part itself, which was just web part. But there's an easier way to do this. What if I close this guy? Notice that we have a test web part project class here. All he does is inherit from the .web part. I've got a cool refactoring that when the cursor is on a type that implements from the system.web.ui.webcontrols.webparts.webpart, I have a cool refactoring available to me. Create web part definition. Notice no .webpart file down here. Pop him up, create a webpart file. There's a webpart file, added in all that stuff that we had just a second ago as well. All right. The last thing I want to show you is some of the dynamic list capabilities that we have. Let me go in and create a new class. Now, one of the things that's always such a pain is having to go in when you want to declare new types, that you would have to go in and if you want to create, say, a new site collection, you'd have to say Microsoft.SharePoint.SPSite is a site collection, and that's about all we want to do right there. It's kind of a pain because you're either going to have to type out this entire name, or ahead of time you're going to have some forethought or take the time to add a using statement in. Okay? That's how we have to do it today. Let's make our lives a little bit easier. CodeRush has a bunch of different types, dynamic types that we can use. So one of the templates that we have, the templates work with the types. And so, like, one of the templates that we have is to create new fields. So I can type in field S for a new private string, and it'll automatically stub it out for me. I could do like a field for a field boolean. Well, we've got a couple of them that I've added here for SharePoint types. So I can have it say a new SPS, and it would stub out a new private SPS site object. But the cool thing is that it automatically adds in the using statement for us. If the using statement is already there, I can say a new field SPWeb, and it leaves the using statement in there. Got them for, let's see, I think we have field SP list, field SP list item, field SP. Nope, that one didn't exactly give me one. And so with that, that's just a very brief overview of the tools and what you get within this. There's a bunch of additional screencasts that'll show you a lot more detail, but this was just some really quick introduction to the tools. I hope you enjoy it.